Imagine executing a flawless military campaign against the dominant superpower of your era. You win the war, you secure the richest prize in the ancient world, and then you refuse to keep a single coin. To understand why anyone would walk away from a fortune, we must look at the geopolitical map of the ancient Near East around 1900 BC. The undisputed heavyweight of the region was a king named Chedorlaomer, who ruled Elam and led a powerful coalition of 4 Mesopotamian monarchs. This map shows the balance of power. For 12 years, those 4 Mesopotamian kings held 5 kings of the Jordan Plain in strict subjugation, extracting heavy tribute. But in the 13th year, those 5 subordinate kings stopped paying and rebelled. The resulting conflict was a regional world war. These empires were fighting for absolute control over highly lucrative trade routes and vast agricultural wealth, creating a massive vortex of violence that would inevitably drag in neutral bystanders. Chedorlaomer's response came in the 14th year. His coalition marched south, systematically crushing every territory, tribe, and defensive outpost in their path, before finally reaching the rebel kings. The decisive clash happened in the Vale of Siddim. This valley was geographically unique, covered in natural slime pits, deep pools of viscous asphalt. When the armies of Sodom and Gomorrah broke ranks and fled, their troops were driven directly into this treacherous terrain and became trapped. With the defense broken, the Mesopotamian coalition stripped Sodom and Gomorrah of all their wealth and food. They also took captives, including a man named Lot, the nephew of a wealthy, neutral nomad named Abram. Abram was suddenly forced into a desperate position. The greatest military superpower of the age now held the entire region's economic output, along with his own bloodline. A lone survivor managed to escape the slaughter and the tar pits, and traveled to the plains of Mamre, bringing Abram the news of his nephew's capture. Abram immediately mobilized his household. He armed 318 trained servants who had been born on his estate, and called in a small contingent of local Amorite allies. This visualization shows the absolute asymmetry of the coming battle. You have a massive, towering block representing an undefeated imperial coalition that just conquered half the known world, and right next to it, a tiny sliver representing Abram's militia of 318 men. He was entirely abandoning his safe position as a neutral pastoralist, risking absolute annihilation to rescue his nephew and right a severe injustice. Abram tracked the imperial army over 100 miles to Dan. Knowing a direct confrontation would be fatal, he divided his forces. Under the cover of night, they launched a coordinated surprise attack. The coalition fractured, and Abram's men pursued them past Damascus to Hobah. In the chaos, Abram achieved his objective. He recovered every stolen piece of property, every captive civilian, and safely extracted his nephew Lot. By destroying the coalition that had just conquered the 5 kings, Abram had pulled off the most unlikely military upset of his era. Overnight, he went from a quiet outsider to the undisputed, most powerful man in the region. As Abram marched his victorious forces and the recovered captives back south, he stopped in the valley of Shaveh, also known as the Kingsdale. Here, the narrative slows down as he is intercepted by 2 opposing regional leaders. The first was a mysterious figure named Melchizedek. He was the king of Salem and a priest of the Most High God, and he approached Abram offering sustenance, a simple meal of bread and wine. Melchizedek pronounced a blessing over the victor, framing the triumph in a very specific way. He publicly attributed the miraculous military success entirely to God, intentionally removing Abram's tactical genius and the bravery of his men from the equation. Abram listened to this assessment and responded by voluntarily giving Melchizedek a tithe, exactly 10% of all the recovered spoils. Handing over that 10% was a profound legal and spiritual declaration. Abram was officially acknowledging that his newfound leverage and military success were not his own creation, but a divinely orchestrated outcome. Then came the second leader, the defeated king of Sodom, with a very different proposition. He told Abram to keep all the immense physical wealth they had just recovered, and asked only for his citizens to be returned. The offer was incredibly tempting. Under ancient rules of conquest, Abram was legally entitled to every single item he had won in battle. Keeping that mountain of loot would instantly establish his family as a wealthy, permanent dynasty. Yet Abram refused to take so much as a single thread or a leather sandal strap from the king of Sodom. He explained his reasoning to the king directly, saying he would take nothing, lest you should say, "I have made Abram rich." He was ensuring that a corrupt earthly ruler could never hold leverage over his household or claim credit for his success. Abram walked away from the ancient world's greatest jackpot. His refusal proves a difficult historical lesson. Lasting greatness doesn't come from hoarding the spoils of a temporary victory. It is secured through uncompromising integrity and an absolute reliance on a higher allegiance.